All right, well, looks like we are going live here. We have a little bit of the Wheel of Death going. Great, fantastic. Hey, good afternoon and welcome live from the PCA headquarters. This is Scott Pearce, Executive Director of the Premium Cigar Association. And today we're very happy to be joined by none other than PCA President John Anderson here from Draper's, W. Curtis Draper Cigars. We're coming today because we really wanted to be able to have a really, first of all, congratulations and a big relief celebration here about the recent decision that came down from Judge Maida and what that means for the premium cigar industry. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, what that means for the industry and for the association, particularly as it relates not only for manufacturers but also how that impacts retailers. And we'll also take a look at some updates on some other federal and some other state, particularly some state issues that we've been involved in here recently. So on that note, I would like to turn the time over to John right now, and I'd like to ask John really describe the significance of this decision and what it means, and some of the, and in particular, we know what it means for manufacturers that can bring products to market now, not have to go through that, but really kind of the impact too as well. You being a retailer, how does this impact you as a retailer?
Well, first, while this victory is huge, and we're incredibly grateful for Judge Maida and his decision, I think the first thing we need to say is it's a temporary fix, right? And we're still going to have to come up with a permanent solution for this. Yeah. But what it does is it allows everyone to take a breath and relax for a minute, just a minute, as we look at what the next battleground is going to be and how we need to go after it. Those of you that are members of our association of the PCA, I want to thank you, because it is your membership dollars which fund this fight. I know that the PCA has oftentimes been seen as a trade show organization, and that's what we do. And that's part of it, and that's part of how we generate our revenue for fighting these legal battles. This is, since I've been in the industry, this is one of the most important victories we have had as an industry, and something that we really need to capitalize on with our members on the Hill, with the administration, with the FDA. I mean, we are working tirelessly towards it. So I want to thank you for your membership dollars. I can't tell you how important it is. We oftentimes, we'll send out the information on what's happening and what we're doing, but you can always get this information if you visit premiumcigars.org. And if you go to the news category, there's a one-pager on Judge Maida's decision and what that means for us. And if you have to log out early, or if you want to go back and review it, please go to premiumcigars.org/news and you can take a look at this. But what this really does is it allows, those new products that we count on as retailers, the seasonal releases, the limited editions, the Tatuaje Monsters, it allows them to continue to come to market and us to be able to sell them. Because I don't know about you as a retailer, the number one question to me is no longer, do you carry X brand? The question has become, what's new? What's new? And that's what drives our business, or my business. And so new products are critical to our success. They're critical to our industry. And what this does is it allows new product to continue to come to market. Now we're going to have to fight to get a permanent fix for this, whether that is through a streamlined standard equivalence process. We're working with the administration, we're working with the FDA, we're working with our benefactors on the Hill. I mean, we are working with everybody that we can to get any regulatory relief. And the challenge going forward is when the new state sessions come into play, we're going to be fighting a lot of battles there. And so Scott is going to talk about some of those challenges that we face there. But we all need to stay engaged constantly in this fight locally. And you will be receiving the alerts from the PCA about what's happening, what you can do, how you can help. You've got Josh here at the office, you've got Scott here at the office. You can reach them either at their emails or you can call them. We're here to help, we're here to work. We realize now that our challenges, while we didn't have the trade show, and that was a big disappointment for everybody, what our challenges now going forward are really going to be is staying relevant and fighting these fights. So Scott, why don't you talk about a little bit about what's coming up and some of the challenges we face there.
Yeah, and just to really hammer home on something John just said, for every dollar that comes in of membership dues, anywhere from 2 to 3.5 times that is spent lobbying on your behalf. And so that's why it's obviously very critical that that continues. And one of the main reasons that, we've said this before, and we're going to continue to say it and remind folks because we need to be ever vigilant as we're looking forward now. This is great. This is a great stepping stone for us. It's a great launch pad for us. We now have a judge's decision that puts into basically not law essentially, but it puts down what the definition of a premium cigar is and allows us to move forward, right? It differentiates us in a very, very impactful and meaningful way. And we're going to be using that and have been using that since it came out in that regard. But we know, as John said, there is a tidal wave of state initiatives that are going to be coming after us. They're going to try to get more and more taxes. They're going to try to do bans and everything else. So some important initiatives that we have been working on that is somewhat probably a foreshadowing of what some other states are going to be enacting or trying to enact is something similar to what is happening in California. And we've been incredibly proactive there, and I would love to give a very, very big round of applause to all of our retailers out in California who have been stepping up and been very, very active. When the hearing came down, this bill, this S793, we were initially on board trying to get this to only be, not on board with the bill, we were initially trying to
tell them what the bill is so they understand the importance.
Yeah, so the importance of this, basically it talks about banning anything flavored. And they use ambiguous language. There's the opposition groups that are out there that purposely use ambiguous language in these types of bills because they say something along the lines of presenting and characterizing flavor, and it's ambiguous to the point to where if you are ever giving a review of the tobacco product and you say it has notes of chocolate or creaminess, or you get some other sense of whatever is in there, even though there is absolutely nothing in that cigar that truly tastes like that, you're noting it because those are the notes that it presents, and you're trying to give a profile of that cigar. That would render that product illegal based upon certain readings of that law, and if they chose to, in fact, enforce the law accordingly. So we fought very, very strenuously alongside some of our allies to try to focus this to a specific bill that attacked vaping because that was their intent. There were some things where they brought up other flavored products that they wanted to, in fact, go after, so they did not want to limit it to just vaping. At that point, we were in connection with some of the stakeholders there in California, and we really got a great initiative off the ground with a lot of our retailers who absolutely just were phenomenal. They peppered lawmakers and they peppered a bunch of people with messages and comments letting them know that this was very, very ill-focused in how that would impact their businesses, to the point that premium cigars were actually brought up under testimony from the author of the bill, and they decided to present a carve-out. Unfortunately, it took a little bit of a turn, and they used bad language from a bad bill somewhere else that included a price point on there. And so now we are fighting very strenuously against that specific action and have been sending information, sending out more alerts, and again, our retailers stepping up. We've sent over 5,000 plus letters to just this week to the governor, to Governor Newsom out there in California, to the elected officials, to senators, to anybody and everybody that is going to have any kind of say in passing this bill. The next 4 days is when this will come up for a final vote. In terms of making a technical fix to either removing that $12 price point or just flat out defeating it altogether. Because again, it's bad policy. Bad policy, we know, comes from people that do not understand the policies that they're writing or the impact that they're going to make. And so that's what we have faced in California. Now, we have seen other instances of this or different iterations of this exact type of thing pop up and start to percolate in other places. And so we're being very active in that fight as well. The other thing that's going to be coming down that we've started to see as well is we're starting to see budgets being produced or from different governors in different states. And as we're noticing, we're starting to see other tax issues start to pop up as well, where they're going to take a look at tobacco tax increases. And so we've been doing some diligent work here with Josh. We've been working with Glenn Loop from CRA as well, and being very proactive on trying to identify. And right now we're looking about 24 states right now, right off the bat, that we are focusing on and starting to put attention towards. And so that's why here, starting on September 16th, we're going to be starting an initiative brand new that neither one of the associations have done before, but we're going to combine our efforts with myself, Josh Shaversky, and Glenn Loop, and we're going to be implementing a statewide or regional education model where we want to start working a lot closer hand in hand with all the retailers in the states to be proactive in what we're going to be going after with these measures. That means we're going to have basically formatted, templatized everything from letters or other things that you all can use, other tools to use, ways in which we're going to lay out for you how we will work with you, the areas in which we can be more beneficial for you all in these states, and how we can connect with your elected officials and other ideas as we look forward to doing it. And each state will be different, and there might be different groups or other things like that within each state that will be unique to you, to where we might be able to partner and build broader coalitions that will enable us to have a greater impact. So that's something that we're looking forward to launching here in about a little over 2 weeks, and so be paying attention to that as well. And John did mention this, and again, I want to underscore, we did talk about membership dues, but again, also the trade show. We've known for quite some time, if anybody is unaware, that the trade show plays a very, very important part for the association to be able to have the funds necessary to do this. So we would like to very much thank the manufacturers for their consistent support via the trade show, as well as the support through the Cigar Rights of America. And between the two groups, the PCA alone has spent $3 million on these lawsuits. And we have 2 massive victories this year due to those lawsuits. The warning labels earlier this year in February, and now the substantial equivalence one that we have here. And those are very impactful. That represents hundreds of millions of dollars of savings for the industry. It allows businesses to stay open. And again, none of this is possible if we're not for the funding mechanisms of both your membership dues as well as the trade show. And so we do a huge thanks to CRA, who was also the other half of the $6 million plus that we spent on legal fees. They're the other half of that. And so both of us putting in north of $3 million on that. So that's a sizable chunk of change for both of these organizations, and so I just want everybody to really truly recognize that. So if you are a company out there that's bringing new products to market right now, and your company was founded after that 2007 date, right now you have the ability to continue to bring products to market because of this lawsuit, which we're very happy for. It's one of the reasons why we were on this in the first place. Retailers, you don't have to worry about pulling products off the market or selling things black market unknowingly. As John said, it keeps that pipeline open. You don't have to worry about, as manufacturers, putting things on for warning labels and messing things up there, or trying to produce more things now that's not necessarily within your business process, disrupting that and costing you more money. So we're very happy with this, but as John said, this is a very necessary beginning step for us as we're looking forward now. Now what this means federally, as John alluded to earlier, is that we're not done. This now gives us a very strong messaging framework. Now we're going to continue to pick up the pressure on on the Senate and the congressmen on the Congress to continue with what we now know is our definition that is there within the courts, and then proceeding there. Now the FDA has recognized that. Center for Tobacco Products has now recognized this definition of premium cigars, so understands that they need to understand the issue even more. So now we need to redouble our efforts in our education and letting the FDA, as well as our elected officials and the administration, know and continue to educate them on why this industry is different, and why whatever happens with this industry needs to very much be tailored to the differences between us and other tobacco products. And that's where, again, this fight is not over. This is a never-ending marathon. Right now that we're in this realm of regulatory, I was going to call it purgatory, but we're not in purgatory, but this regulatory theater that we're now in, it's never going to end. We're very similar now to most other industries that have this, and so this is going to be continuous. And if we ever stop, we're going to go backwards. And so much like the shark, we even when we sleep, we're going to be continuing to move and swim around. But I would like to, hopefully, that everybody was able to have somewhat of a celebratory cigar or 4 or 10 and a good drink, or a nice celebration via Zoom, or whether you're able to get together with friends on this, because this is a very, very important and critical point for this industry, and one on which we now have very solid ground from which we can build what our regulatory relief is truly going to look like. So that, I know as John, and you've mentioned this many times as a business owner, and manufacturers have mentioned this too, the uncertainty that this regulation, or whatever they kind of, the halfway regulation, or whatever it was, they were calling it at the time, the uncertainty is just impossible to truly have a good qualified business model under. So that's what we are advocating for now, using this solid foundation, building out that certainty so that you know exactly what the regulation is going to be, that it's going to be sustained, perpetual, and that way it gives you a great foundation, and not foundation, but really the certainty that these whims and wins or whatever else is not going to necessitate you having to change businesses or all of a sudden dump a huge cost on you. So that's the very important part that we're looking forward to basically solving with the administration and with our elected officials.
And you touched on something that was very important. You brought the CRA into this, and I inadvertently left them out. They've been our partners every step of the way here. And I can't tell you how many calls I've been on with Rocky Patel, George Padron, Alan Rubin, Pete Johnson, Corey Bappert. I mean, these guys, Carlito Fuente, side by side, we've been fighting this with them. And those are the companies, along with the membership dues that people pay, that are supporting the CRA. So I would encourage you to support your CRA, the CRA member companies, buy their products, help them along the way as we fight these battles. There are also several trade shows throughout the year that are in the tobacco world. The PCA trade show is the only trade show where that revenue goes back to fight these regulations. It's not about profit. It's not about, lining somebody's pockets. It's about fighting for our industry. So we really need you to understand that every dollar that comes into this association is going back and winning battles like this. And it couldn't be more imperative to be a member now. Our trade show is going to happen next year in July of 2021. We're incredibly excited about it. We've got some really exciting things that we're working on and that we're going to announce. But know that your dollar spent there paid for this legal battle.
Yep.
Helped us with that. But I really want to say thank you to the CRA. Thank you to the unsung heroes who work there with Glenn Loop. You've got Cody and you've got Mike Copperman, and those guys have been working tirelessly for you as well. So I would be remiss if we didn't really
100%.
thank them like that. So thank you guys for your support. There's going to be more to come. We are going to make sure, if you're not already involved in your state association, please get involved. States are going to be the battlegrounds this year. Budget shortfalls are going to necessitate taxes. And we all know that taxes in the time of, unemployment at record levels and everything that's happening don't bode well. So we need to get creative about how we're going to fight these things. We're going to need everybody's help. So getting involved in your state, reach out to Josh and Scott if you have a member up on the Hill that you want to get introduced to and want to have to your shop for, maybe it's a fundraiser, what have you. But you cannot be active enough.
Yeah, 100% on that. And the other part of that is, one of the things from this decision, bringing it back, excuse me, is the FDA is going to be undertaking another research project to really truly find out and get more comments and really they're going to be doing another premium cigar rulemaking fighting essentially. And so we are going to be even more proactive this time around because we want them to have all the data, because we know with the data on our side, it essentially lays out why premium cigars need to be treated differently. And so again, please pay attention to that as it's coming up too, because we'll be reaching out once that stuff comes up, so that way we can engage our entire army of retailers, of consumers and manufacturers. Anybody that is involved in this industry or loves the products of this industry needs to be involved in providing the FDA the information necessary so that they truly do understand and have, we already have the path study, so that's great. And our whole purview is that it's just going to be supported, and that's going to provide us all of the ammunition that we need in order for us to have our regulatory wall. I continue to talk about this all the time, but this regulatory relief, a permanent wall of regulation that we have, that we know that it's not going to be disrupted or changed on whims based upon who's in office, etc. And so your engagement in that process is going to be necessary. And so while that might be a little bit farther in the future, it is still coming. And so we're going to be very active in that as well. So we're never going to sleep at the wheel. And, it's always going to be, both eyes very much on any regulatory body, whether it's at the state level or the federal level, to make sure that our voice is always heard and make sure that our stories are always told. And so on that note, once again, thank you for everybody. I hope everybody is staying safe and being well, that everybody's businesses hopefully are at least somewhat open, or if not all the way open, and that you guys all have great weekends. And congratulations to the industry for this victory, and we will see you guys very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.